This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor for this episode is Bringing Local Back. Remember when your community could turn to a local TV station or newspaper for the latest updates and affordable ads? Those days may be fading, but the need for local connection remains. That's why we created Bringing Local Back, a game-changing platform that restores local visibility and advertising power to your community. It's more than just tech. It's about driving engagement and creating new revenue for your chamber. Ready to see the future? Visit bringinglocalback.com to schedule your demo today. This is the future of local commerce. Our guest for this episode is Jamie Beasley. Jamie is a passionate rural revitalization leader and innovative economic developer. Jamie serves as the executive director of the Pike County Chamber and Economic Development Corporation in Illinois, where she leads efforts around small business support, tourism, and strategic growth. She's also the founder of Econ DevOps, a virtual assistant agency designed specifically for small chambers and economic development organizations. Jamie brings a unique perspective as the first Economic Development Center executive director in the U.S. to become a crowdfund better certified advisor, helping local businesses access capital through crowdfunding. With a master's in economic development and continued training through the OU EDI program, Jamie is all about practical solutions and impactful results for rural communities. But Jamie, I'm excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the Chamber champions who are out there listening and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, thank you very much, Brandon. I'm excited to be on here. Something interesting about me is that my journey through the chamber/economic development world has been bumpy because the first two, this is my third position in this industry, and my first two were both cut short after less than 6 months due to a lack of funding. So I moved for these positions. So I've been all around the country just trying to work in this industry.
Yeah. You could say you kind of been burned twice, but you still believe in it. You still trudge forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe in what we're trying to do. It's just figuring out the funding that can be an issue, as we know now very well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'm sure that becomes somewhat of a driver for you too, at this point in your career to make sure things work and make sure the funding's coming in to make that program of work continue forward.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So hopefully, fingers crossed that we're good here.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about the Pike County Chamber and EDC. Just give us an idea of size, staff, scope of work, budget, that sort of thing, just to kind of set the stage for our discussion today.
Mm-hmm. So we are we're both a chamber and economic development corporation with two different kind of membership groups, but between both we have around 175 members. We have a revenue or a budget of around 100,000, a little over that. The Economic Development Corporation absorbed the chamber last year into its fold. So in that process, there's been confusion and a rebuilding. So we've we have members that came over, of course, from the chamber, but we lost some, and now we've got to show them that we're still offering, great services and we're great assets to the business and the community. So we're kind of in a rebuilding mode.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it. And an opportunity, I guess, for making sure that branding is hitting right in the community and getting the messaging across about what it is you guys do and what you provide and the impact that you
Hmm.
make in the community. So
Absolutely.
were they two separate organizations, the Chamber and EDC, before the EDC absorbed the Chamber?
They were. So I'm not, the chamber's been around for, a long time. The EDC's been around for about 25 years. I don't know what caused the chamber to decide we don't want to do this on our own anymore. But they did. And I have heard since I stepped into this role and started doing monthly networking because that had dropped off, and monthly newsletters because that had dropped off, and just Facebook and stuff like that. I have heard numerous times how happy people are to be seeing activity and engagement. So I don't know what had happened before, but I think, proof positive that people really like to see the chamber active and engaged in the community. Like, it does matter.
Right, right. So our topic for our discussion today is going to be one that I think a lot of chamber leaders can resonate with, a lot of chamber staff can resonate with when it comes to the idea of chamber burnout. I think we all come across it from time to time. Sometimes it hits a little harder than other times. But I think it's
Mm,
important to have a strategy in place, to have a way to be able to face the burnout as it comes, because it will come if it hasn't yet. And if it has come, you know exactly what we're talking about. But we'll dive in
mhm.
much deeper into this conversation as soon as we get back from this quick break.
Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Rose.
and we're the founders of App My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started At My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
App My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped the Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with At My Community, our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at appmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Chamber leaders, I know each of you works daily to boost your local economy and take your Chamber of Commerce to the next level. But let's face it takes funding, and lots of it. You need to know Resource Development Group. For 3 decades, they have been the premier economic development fundraising consulting firm dedicated to helping chambers of commerce and economic development organizations like yours thrive across the United States. Their expert team specializes in crafting customized fundraising strategies that drive tangible results so you'll be able to fully implement your community advancement and economic development strategies. Imagine having a partner who strives to understand your community's unique needs, brings national best practices to bear, and has the proven experience to secure millions of dollars in funding. Resource Development Group has successfully guided countless chambers of commerce in creating vibrant, sustainable economies. With their comprehensive suite of services, from campaign planning and execution to investor engagement management to best practice studies, RDG takes the guesswork out of fundraising. You'll receive personalized support and innovative solutions that make a real impact. Don't just take my word for it. Chambers of Commerce and EDO executives nationwide have praised RDG for their dedication, professionalism, and impressive track record of raising over $2 billion for their clients. Ready to see what Resource Development Group can do for your chamber? Visit them at rdgfundraising.com to learn more. Elevate your community, strengthen your chamber, and unlock new possibilities with Resource Development Group by your side. They build organizations that build communities. All right, Jamie, we're back. So as I mentioned before the break, today we're talking about chamber burnout. So it may be best just to hear from your experience. What's been that? How's that looked in your career? That burnout? How's that reared its ugly head? And what kind of
Yeah.
solutions have you figured out for it?
Well, in my journey through this industry, I have noticed that in all my positions, and I have heard other directors say similar things, that they're doing it all. We're all doing it all. Like, maybe if you're lucky, you have like a part-time assistant or something to help you, but a lot of us are, we're the director, we're the administrative assistant, we're the membership driver, we're doing all the things. We're planning events, we're working on tourism, it's a lot. And and that's certainly the case for me as well. I'm in charge of tourism and the chamber and economic development corporation, and I am the administrative assistant as well. So it can definitely be overwhelming, and there are certainly days where you just want to throw up your hands and be like, no more.
Yeah. Now I know when there's times on my computer I've got way too many tabs open
Yes.
and trying to focus on what it is that I'm doing at that moment. I'm like, hold on, I got to close out some tabs because this is completely overwhelming. And as a chamber leader, as a chamber staff, even, sometimes those tabs you just can't close them. They're just always open.
Mm-hmm.
And how have you found to be effective to try to manage all these open tabs and distractions that can come your way at any moment that take you off course of what the main purpose is or the main thing at hand that you're focused on?
Well, for me, the key has really been to bring in help. It started with a couple of interns just working a few hours a week to help with social media. Um, and even something simple like social media, and you know asking them to, hey, here's a post, please schedule this, put it together and schedule it. Just that takes a load off of your mind, and um I don't know, just gives you a little chance to breathe. And and I know, I mean I've heard plenty of chamber directors, talk about the same thing, the overload, the doing everything, and experiencing the just even the little bit of pressure that it took off having these two interns to help with social media. Um, it kind of led me to the idea of, because I have worked as a virtual assistant, and it just led me to, like, we need virtual assistants. Most of us, I mean, the smaller chambers, we can't afford a full-time administrative assistant, and the benefits and all of the things, but maybe we could afford somebody part-time. So I started building that. I started looking for contractors who could do the things that I need done. And I figure if I needed them done, other chamber, like event planning, social media, general admin. So that's been that's how I deal with it.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
bringing in help. That's really, I don't know any other way to just get it all done.
I think that's great. I think, so often you're wearing so many different hats, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for the example of social media, yes, that's on the to-do list. Yes, we all understand social media is important. You need to have the presence out there. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're being pulled, 18 different ways, and that social media thing just keeps pinging you like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. Well, the time that it would take you to do it and the expertise, not docking anybody's, capabilities of social media, but if it's
Right.
somebody's wheelhouse where that's what they do day in and day out is social media, they can knock it out and move on to the next thing and check it off the list for you. So it's not hovering in your mind and thinking, oh, I got to get to this thing and take, maybe 4 times as long to do the thing that it would to have this intern
Hmm.
do it or the assistant or whatever it may be. And I think that's true, with a lot of these different aspects that you mentioned, like event planning and things like that, where when you're wearing all the different hats, it's very hard to get in that zone of planning an event because then the phone rings and you're off to, put out this
Hmm.
fire and that fire, and it's really hard to get the traction and get things moving. So
Yeah.
I can definitely see the value in bringing in help. Um, so you'd mentioned, bringing in interns, you mentioned virtual assistants. One thought that comes to mind is, maybe at a chamber, they've got an ambassador program and some ambassadors who will raise their hand and take on, some of
Hmm.
these tasks and help lighten the load. Um, Maybe it's a board member who aligns well with some of these things that can help. I don't know. Are there other ideas or approaches or things you've seen to be successful?
Sure. I mean, a lot of chambers use volunteers. I mean, obviously your board is volunteer, and if you volunteers are a great source of help if you can get their time. They're just, they're volunteers, so you can't
Yeah.
be demanding on you must do this at this time and be here and whatever, or you risk driving them away. Now, they can be great. I mean, they can be great no matter what. But especially if you're like working on a project that's something they really care about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a volunteer right now who he moved away from town and then he came back and now he just wants to see that his town to be as great as it can be. And so he's coming in with all these ideas that he gathered from his, life journey, and so we're working together, and I mean, he is a breath of fresh air, and I am so grateful for just that level of enthusiasm and, willingness to do whatever needs to be done to make the thing that we're working on happen. So, I mean, volunteers are definitely something to take advantage of if you have access to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think to your point of if it's something that strikes a chord with that volunteer that is
Hmm.
in their wheelhouse that they can get excited about. For example, if you've got that ambassador that is at every ribbon cutting and they're excited
Hmm.
about it and they want to support the new business, maybe they would help by posting that on social media, some pictures and
Yeah.
some captions and put it on social media because that's in their wheelhouse. That's what they enjoy and kind of touts being there and all that. So I think looking for those opportunities where you can lean upon those people where they are excited about that
Hmm.
task that maybe you're not as excited about anymore.
Right. And I think that's really the importance is sometimes like we try to find volunteers to do like maybe I don't know, fill certain hours or whatever. And what we really need to be focusing on is finding volunteers who are passionate about a thing. And okay, you want to work like it doesn't have to be just one volunteer that comes in 4 hours a week or whatever. I mean, that's great if you can find it, but it could just, yeah, be one person who really wants to do social media, or one person who loves planning events, or one person who, you kind of have to, because they're volunteers, like fit into their life in the best way, because we have a tendency to be like, well, the volunteer needs to fit into our organization, our schedule, and the way we do things, but they're the volunteer. So you need to make sure it's a benefit to them and something that they enjoy doing, or you're not going to have a volunteer for very long.
Yeah, it's definitely a different approach than what you would take
Yeah,
with the staff or a paid helper, right?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
go
sorry,
ahead.
I
No,
say
go ahead.
some places like there are people who maybe they want somebody in there to answer the phone from like 8 to noon. And there are people who might agree to do that. I'm not saying you can never do that. I'm just saying make sure that you take your volunteers' interests into consideration.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, so you've definitely have seen this as a pain point in your career,
Hmm.
which has led to, as I mentioned in the bio, being the founder of Econ DevOps. Um, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Econ DevOps is and how it helps to overcome some of this chamber burnout that so many of us face?
Absolutely. So Econ DevOps is a virtual assistant agency specifically focused on chambers and economic development organizations. So, we are there to help with social media, event planning, newsletters, chasing invoices, just any and everything that chamber directors try to do. I mean, as long as we can do it on the computer, we can help with it. And it's just, I felt like, I mean, virtual assistants have been around for years. And for some reason, it felt like chambers and EDOs, like small EDOs, didn't think about that they can use virtual assistants too. Like the connection had just never been made. So all I really did was make that connection because I have worked as a virtual assistant and as a chamber director. So I know I would love to have somebody do social media. I would love to have somebody do event planning. Um, and so I created that.
Yeah.
Because I also think, at least this is what has been my experience, I have a certain skill set. Like I am friendly. I love going out and talking to people and brainstorming and all these things. I am really not as detail oriented as some of these responsibilities need. So it takes me longer and I procrastinate because I don't want to do it because I don't enjoy it. And so having somebody that can come in and likes doing that thing and is detail oriented makes a world of difference. I mean, I hired one of my VAs to help me to with econ DevOps because I was like, I know these are not the things I'm strong at. And so please help me do those things so that I can focus on the things that I am strong at.
Right.
And I think that is as much a part of burnout as doing all the things, is doing things that you're not good at and you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And then you procrastinate on doing them. And so then that's like hanging over your head and you're stressing about that. And, you finally get it done. But, it's so much. It is so much. Directors do so much. I mean, not just directors, all of the chamber staff, because they're all doing one thing.
Right.
I mean, it kind of all, the director's the face, the director's the one that has to talk to the board, and it's a lot. And it really can just be incredibly overwhelming.
Yeah. So I've done this exercise before with, if I remember it right, you take like a piece of paper and fold it into quadrants. So you've got 4 sections to it. And
Mm-hmm.
then in one section you write down, all the things with your job that you enjoy, that you enjoy doing. And then in
Mm-hmm.
the next square, you're writing down all the things that you really don't enjoy doing.
Right.
And then in the next square, you write all the things that you personally have to do. Like because of your title, your responsibilities, the role, whatever it is, you have to do these things. And then that final square, all those things that you do that you don't have to be the one doing it. And I think going through that sort of an exercise can help to see, okay, if I can offload some of this in all the variety of different ways that you mentioned, that leaves more bandwidth for me to do the things that I enjoy doing and the things that I have to do in a much better and efficient manner. And
Mm-hmm.
it just opens that bandwidth and frees the brain space and all of that. So um,
Yeah. That's
it
a great exercise for figuring out what you should not be doing. I hadn't I mean, I just would tell people make a list of all the things, but I like your idea better.
well, give me credit the first 2 times, then it's yours to own for
Okay,
however you want to use
perfect.
it. So
Happy to do so.
Yeah. So you had mentioned virtual assistants, and in the past, as I've heard of virtual assistants, I've always pictured them being overseas, in the Philippines or
Oh,
something like
right.
that.
Yeah.
So for a chamber, that can be a US based chamber, that can be a difficult hurdle to think, well, let me bring on this VA who's in the Philippines, who
Hmm.
maybe not everything translates the same way when we've got a chamber member who's calling about, something on Main Street, and maybe it just doesn't resonate the same way. Or then they find out, hey, I hired somebody overseas and we're the Chamber of
Hmm.
Commerce. We should be, it just has a negative connotation to it. So I like the idea of presenting yourself as a virtual assistant, but specialized with chambers of commerce and EDOs, and being able to understand the language and not just English,
Yeah.
but the language, the chamber and EDO language,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, and that's part of our deal is we only hire US based virtual assistants, partially for the language and differences, because translation can cause problems, but also just for the security issues. Like, I mean, not that there's, a big security threat in the Philippines, but like, it just,
You never know. You never
you
know.
never know.
Yeah.
Exactly. You never know. So, all of our VAs are US based. And we also, what I like about our process is that we try to match a client with a VA, like personality wise and work style wise, not just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, here's somebody, best of luck to you. But, like talking to the client, talking to the VA, then having them talk, make sure they get along and like each other and can work, feel like they're going to work well together. And so I feel like it makes I mean, it's kind of like hiring an employee, only they're not an employee,
Yeah.
but you get to know if like, because if you sit down and talk to somebody for 5 minutes and you're like, I cannot work with them, well,
Yep.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
move on to somebody else. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
it's like a whole process because we want to make sure that your assistant is not another source of stress for you because
right.
we don't need any more sources of stress. We have plenty.
Right. I like that. So essentially, you're a matchmaker. That's what you are.
Yes,
Wow.
essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, we all heard of like headhunters for, C-suite executives. That's just common. I mean, and not that I'm, a headhunter for admin, but I am like I can find you a good virtual assistant. And then you don't have to worry about um, benefits or workers' comp or any of those things. And so, because that was one of the things we ran into with the interns that I didn't think about was workers' comp and the state revenue office, like all those things that I hadn't thought about. And
Yeah.
and it made it more expensive than we were expecting. And when you hire a contractor, you don't have to do that. So
Yeah. Those are
I
good,
just,
good points.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Again,
Thanks.
it's offloading headaches, right?
Offloading headaches. That is what we want to be doing. Offloading headaches.
That's right.
Because there's just so many other things that we can focus on.
Right. So this next question is, it may be right in your wheelhouse, but um, for chambers listening who want to take their organization up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item would you share with them to try to accomplish that goal?
Well, I mean, I really feel like not trying to do it all yourself is one of the biggest things you can do. And it can be a virtual assistant, it can be a volunteer, it can be an intern, it can be a combination of all three. Um, we're so used to doing so much with so little. And I mean, directors burn out, and that's not good for our organization. I mean, obviously, it's not good for us. It's not good for our organization. It makes the chamber look bad when you're having to hire a new director every 2 years,
Yeah.
and so just yeah, regardless of how you go about it, find somebody to help you. Like I said, volunteer, intern, hiring, whatever. Just stop trying to do it all by yourself because you can't. And yeah, you are going to burn out.
Well, and that's a great plug right there for anyone listening to share with their board. Is it really has a negative impact when you see the chamber executive that turning over every couple of years, when you're thinking, how do we get these members to renew their membership year after year, but yet the leader of the organization can't stick around for more than 2 years. What does that say about the organization? So being able to bring in help is huge, to be able to have that longevity, and it trickles down into membership and sponsorships and everything else because it shows the health of the organization. So
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Great tip.
Thanks.
So I like asking everyone I have on the show, as we look to the future of chambers of commerce, how do you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward?
I think that chambers could have a huge role in our communities moving forward. I feel like in the past, not that chambers weren't important, but especially smaller chambers were like parades and I don't know, stuff and things like
parties, pageants, and parades, right?
Yes, thank you. And I feel like now with the way everything is changing so fast that chambers really could help walk businesses through these changes, guide businesses through these changes. I mean, whether it's finding an AI expert to do a workshop for your businesses, or finding somebody to teach people how to make graphics on Canva, or do social media or Reels or TikTok. I mean, I feel like chambers really do have a future if they embrace their role as leader and educator and advocate, of course, rather than parties, parades, and pageants.
Yeah. All those things that you mentioned are things that will help move the needle for a business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, having a parade and that community involvement, it's nice. It can serve a purpose. And depending on the community, maybe you do that. But those things that move the needle and really help a business move forward, especially with the speed that we see in the economy these days with AI and everything else, it's so important to be, forward thinking and be able to be that educator and that convener of ideas and leaders as well. So I like that. Yeah. Well, Jamie, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who might want to reach out and connect with you and learn more about your approach or econ DevOps or anything that you've covered today. What would be the best way for them to reach out and connect?
Well, you can either connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a great way. Or our website is econdevops.com and our email address is hello@econdevops.com. So any one of those will get you straight to me. So I would love to talk to anybody, whether it's about econ DevOps or they just want to be like, yeah, I'm burnt out too. And I get it. And, let's
it can be a counseling session
for each other. Yeah, exactly. I'm good with whatever.
Yeah. Chamber folks need support, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I will get your contact information in our show notes for this episode, so it'll make it easy for listeners to find that and connect with you. But Jamie, I want to thank you for spending time with us today on Chamber Chat Podcast, and thank you for the work you're doing to help overcome the burnout throughout the industry. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on. It's been great.
If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.